in the league have, unless you've been a member of the Bucks for the last
best player in the league, right? Yeah, I would even add, I mean, just everybody on the roster compared to, who he's played with, and there's no shot at other teams that he's been on, but even like a guy like Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton when he comes back. I mean, he fits this team perfectly. And I also would make the case that Wright does as well, and Prince is going to step in for Chris Middleton. It was just a great offseason for the Milwaukee Bucks, and it's an offseason where it was so good, but it was yet so quiet. And the lack of recognition that the Milwaukee Bucks have gotten nationally was always something that never really understood, where, a lot of experts and pundits were picking them to, not only not make the finals or the Eastern Conference Finals, but play in the play-in, and how general manager John Horst failed them. And we'll hear from him soon. But I thought he did everything that he should have done this offseason for this team.
So here's the other thing that stands out to me about Gary Trent Jr. He played 71 games last year, and he had a total of just under 2,000 minutes that he played. 28 per game, minutes per game that he played. Malik Beasley was very durable last year. 79 games played. He played just under 2,400 minutes, but about 2 minutes more per game than Gary Trent Jr., and he took about 100 more threes. Malik Beasley took 542 three-pointers last year and shot 41%. Gary Trent Jr. is a career 39% three-point shooter. He was 39% last year. When he was with Damian Lillard was when he was at his best. He, in those years, from three, the rookie year, we'll throw it out. It was 15 games, and he was a rookie, not very highly touted. But the following 2 seasons that he spent with Dame in Portland, he shot 42% and 39% on his three-point attempts, playing right next to Dame, the same role he'll have on this team. And last year he took 453s at that 39% mark. I think he is poised to have the best season of a two-guard on this team in the Giannis MVP era. So we're not going to include the year that Chris Middleton was your two-guard, but looking at the other run. Malcolm Brogdon, Dante DiVincenzo, Grayson Allen, Malik Beasley. Like, those are the 4 main candidates. I think Gary Trent Jr. statistically is going to have the best season of that bunch. And is he going to take the same volume of threes as Malik Beasley? I think initially you're inclined to say no, because Malik is a volume shooter, and Gary Trent Jr., as we just mentioned, can do more than just catch and shoot. But when you factor in the minutes and everything else, minutes played, games played, the per 36 numbers here, it's very close. What Malik Beasley did last year, just under 7 3-point attempts per game. As for Gary Trent Jr., 6.5 on a bad Raptors team where you knew most of the offense is coming from him. Malik Beasley said it many times last year. Words cannot describe the open looks that you see on this team when you're on the floor with Giannis and Damian Lillard, and I think that's what Gary Trent Jr. is about to walk into.
That should be a good year for him. I would even say Prince, throw him in there as well, and I know he played with LeBron over in L.A. and Anthony Davis as well, and I think he did pretty well over there. I know Lakers fans aren't high on him, but Darvin Ham was. Darvin Ham's back into the Bucks locker room, and Prince is thankful that he is back, and him and Ham got a great relationship. What weight do you give that Darvin Ham back into the locker room? Is that a big deal? Is that something that Bucks fans, probably myself included, have sort of forgotten a little bit? That I feel like he was a bigger role on that 21 team.
Yeah,
than we remember. I mean, he was.
Well, I think it was very clear as soon as he left, when we started to hear from Bobby Portis and others about how much they missed him.
Yeah.
And, the big thing, too, that Bud was up against was not to say that the players tuned him out or didn't respect him, but Darvin Ham was a former player.
Yeah.
And it's easier for those guys to relate to somebody that had gone through those same things and can lend that ear, and that's what they really missed in his absence. But I think the biggest boost that he's going to give is to the defense. And not, building the relationships and getting that to the trust that he already has with that group. They missed that, certainly. But I wouldn't go as far as to say he was his personal coach, but Darvin Ham was very instrumental with Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis. Brook Lopez especially. I think the impact defensively that having Darvin back there to work with him and lend some of that defensive acumen, that is going to be huge. So is Greg Buckner, though, who is I know when Darvin returned, the verbiage was he is the lead assistant. By all accounts, Greg Buckner is the lead assistant. He was the associate head coach for the Cavs for the last 4 years. Doc Rivers has already said he's my defensive coordinator. And the only other time I have done that, where I let a coach run the defense, was when I had Tom Thibodeau in Boston with the Celtics. And look what Tibbs has gone on to now. So
he's not doing so good right now. However, you're right.
It just speaks to, when we talk about the roster makes sense now, and I'm not going to say it's the best bench in the unit, but you certainly feel a lot better in the league, but you certainly feel a lot better.
It's up there, I think.
Certainly feel a lot better about that second unit now when it's
way better.
Bobby Portis as your clear sixth man. When healthy, Torian Prince is coming off the bench. DeLon Wright as a combo guard coming off the bench as well. You go back to last year when it was Bobby Portis and
Jay Green.
And
Andre Jackson.
Whoever is going to step up today was basically what it was. So I think certainly the roster makes much more sense. It is a deeper team. It is a better team. But the coaching staff, too. That piece makes sense. It's not Doc Rivers trying to force a square peg into a round hole with some of the coaches that he had inherited. We saw Joe Prunty and Vin Baker make the cut, but his guys are there, and his guys are very experienced.
Yeah, it's exciting as a Bucs fan because there's confidence into that coaching staff, and I didn't want to say that there's not with Adrian Griffin, but I felt like that. I praised John Horst earlier, and a little bit of a knock on him now was that hiring a first-time head coach last year with an unproven, staff just didn't feel like it was the right move at the time. And this year, like you mentioned, is a complete 180, and especially with getting some familiar faces in there, because I think that is big. It gives you those championship vibes from back in 2021 with Darvin Ham, and some familiarity, obviously, with newer players with Torian Prince in L.A. So, and that goes back to the first point I made, though. We just don't have a crutch this year. We had a couple excuses built in last year.
Why do you want one?
I don't. That's what I'm worried about. Dame got here late. Adrian Griffin was a questionable hire. Terry Stotts left. Chris Middleton was banged up.
But those are good absent problems. It's good to not have those issues hovering over you.
Right.
The Gary Trent Jr. thing, all the offseason, to get all those guys that make sense and fit with this roster. And we heard DeLon Wright they didn't go as far as clearly stating it, but I think if you read between the lines, DeLon Wright was number one on their board. We got to bring this guy in, per Doc Rivers. And Torian Prince and Gary Trent Jr. were both guys. They said, hey, it would be great if we could get them, but we just have vet minimum, so we'll check in with them and see where they're at. But I don't know if this is going to be feasible. And you got all three of them with veteran minimums. The guy that was most instrumental in that, who landed you Damian Lillard a season ago, who brought you, granted it may not have worked out as we hope, but Jay Crowder a couple of years ago, P.J. Tucker, Drew Holiday, and on and on and on. General Manager John Horst, he sat down with Gail Klappa. You will hear that conversation coming up after this as the season preview show continues. When we return, we go courtside. Gail Klappa's conversation with Bucs General Manager John Horst. You will hear that next on WTMJ and ESPN Milwaukee.
There's still more work to do. This is the Bucs season preview on WTMJ and ESPN Wisconsin.
So he said to me, boy, oh boy, do you got the boulders. And I said, you betcha. And he said, do you mind if I cherry pick? And I said, feel free. They're all beautiful and they're all granite. Sparkling pinks, blues, and grays from 4 to 36 inches. And they're all priced right because we buy direct from the source nationwide to give you the look you want. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. Well, if you need flagstone for your new natural patio, Erickson's is the place to find it. We have the largest selection and 15 styles to choose from. And for decorative stone, Erickson's is your best choice. Our decorative stone is trucked in from all over the country. We buy straight from the quarry and cut out the middleman to keep your prices nice and low. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
Once you've lived with it, you know there's no comparison. Hydronic heating is the best in comfort. And when it comes to hydronic heating, the man in the red van can do it all with a 96% efficiency modulating heat boiler. Slant fin wall-mounted radiating heat, cast iron radiators, or how about in-floor heat that we can even lay in below your new driveway on your new home build, so you never have to shovel. Now we're talking.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality heating, quality heating.
So here's why you'd want an Armstrong Air heat pump. Consider a powerful electric backup to your gas furnace that can do the work of your furnace very efficiently. That means lower energy bills, and it has a rock-solid 12-year warranty and can act as an AC unit too. But here's the real gist of it. With all the government tax credits you get, you almost get the darn thing free. So see the man in the red van to get reliable efficiency from an Armstrong Air heat pump.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality heating, quality heating.
This is the Bucks Season Preview Show on WTMJ and ESPN Wisconsin. The next era of Bucks basketball is here.
On courtside tonight, it's Dame time. Our guest, Bucks star Damian Lillard.
Like, I got there and they was like, this is for you. And I was like, man, is this what happens when dudes get traded?
This is Courtside with Gail Klappa.
He's the Deputy Commissioner and Chief Operating Officer of the NBA, Mark Tatum.
Well, look, the Bucks are a championship-level team. There's no doubt about that.
The source for the inside scoop on every dribble, drawn-up play, and decision made.
The head of the herd, the head coach of the Bucks, Doc Rivers.
I want to get this thing right. I want to win. We want to win.
Now, here's your host, Gail Klappa.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gail Klappa, and this is Courtside. The year, 2017. John Horst, only 34 years old. But he knew the Bucks organization inside out, and he became one of the youngest general managers to ever hold the role in the NBA. In the John Horst era, the Bucks have been winners in the playoffs every year. A championship in 2021, but a first-round loss last season left Bucks fans yearning for more. So where do we stand? How do the Bucks stack up in an Eastern Conference that's loaded with talent? We're on the eve now of a brand new NBA season, and tonight we get some insight from the architect, the general manager of the Bucks, John Horst. John, great to visit with you. Thanks so much for sitting down with us here on Courtside.
Hey, Gail, I'm glad to be with you. Excited for the conversation.
Well, John, let's start with the question that's top of mind for Bucks fans everywhere, and that's the status of Chris Middleton. When healthy, and you know this very well, Chris is an all-star caliber player, coming off surgery on both ankles during the offseason. John, what can you tell us about his overall health, his progress, and his return to the lineup?
I think we all saw how well Chris played throughout the playoffs last year, also throughout the season. Had an unfortunate injury against the Phoenix Suns when he stepped on Kevin Durant's foot last year. Chris fought through that, played through that, but at the end of the day had routine cleanup surgeries in both of his ankles during the offseason and did incredibly well through that, is healthy. We expect him to be great this season, come back fully healthy. Participated heavily in training camp so far and most of what we've done. And he's close to being fully healthy and coming back here soon. Don't expect him to play against Philly coming up here, but hopefully shortly after.
John, speaking of our star players, I understand that Damian Lillard, who was hurting, as you know, in the playoffs last year, came to training camp in what may be the best shape of his storied career.
Yeah, listen, we've been in constant communication with Dame throughout the off season. He's completely vested in the organization and his health and his rehab and then his conditioning, his connectivity with Giannis and Chris and the whole team. And so Dame's had a great offseason. We've had a great offseason with him. He's in great condition. He's in a great mental headspace and really just connected to the organization. These things take time. And, from where we were last year at this time, where we were basically had just acquired him to where we are today, we're just in a much better spot. So we look forward to big things from Dame and this team as that continues to grow.
John, as we get ready to tip off the season, maybe the best news is that Giannis is raring to go after a serious calf injury that kept him out of the playoffs last year. As you well know, Giannis has found a way to improve his game every single year. I don't think we've seen him hit a performance ceiling yet, but I'm curious, John, in what aspect of his game do you think we'll see even more improvement in the campaign ahead?
Wow, great question. Giannis, as you mentioned, continues to grow and improve and just advance his game year over year. His strength and conditioning and everything just gets better year over year. He puts in more work than anybody. He's had an incredible summer. A lot of it we were all able to see and watching him play in the Olympics, and did great things with the Greek national team, qualifying for the Olympics the first time in his Olympic national team career. And just it's a credit to him and how much he works, how much he cares. I think all aspects of his game continue to grow. I think he'll continue to improve as a shooter, thinking the game, the way he gets his teammates involved. He's had some incredible passing exhibitions and performances, over the years, but I think that's becoming even more consistent and solid in his game. And I think just in terms of how he helps Dame be better and Brooke be better and Chris and now Gary Trent and DeLon Wright and Taurean Prince and Pat Connaughton and Bobby Portis. I think he just continues to give to his teammates on and off the floor, and I think that's another area where you'll see him grow and see us grow as a result of it.
John, over the years, switching gears here a bit, you've seen firsthand the wear and tear of the long NBA season and the physical toll that it takes on players. Last week, as you know, we saw the news out of Philadelphia that Joel Embiid, one of the dominant big men in the NBA, will no longer play in back-to-back games. Do you think we'll see a similar approach this season with any of our key players?
No. Listen, I think every team, every organization has their philosophies, their standards, their analysis, and how to approach a season. And it is a long, grueling season. These guys compete each and every night at the fullest level as hard as they can. And that's what grit generates and creates such a great NBA product, and why it's such a popular viewership for sports fans. And I think how Philly or any other team approaches it, or a player individual, is up to them. For us, our goal has always been to one, have our players be ready fitness-wise and just kind of strength and conditioning to compete at the highest level. How do we maintain or improve that throughout the course of the season? And how do we be in the best position to be not only available but thriving as we enter the playoffs? And so, we haven't been able to do that every year. Some years we have. Sometimes it's a result of what we have or haven't done. Sometimes it's bad luck, good luck. But we've spent a lot of time this year analyzing our roster, creating a plan and an approach. And I'm very, very high on and very optimistic on our approach to the season. And here we go. Starting with Philly, we're going to start playing, and that'll adjust. It needs to be fluid. It needs to be fluid as we learn more about the team, about opponents, about style of play, and we'll adjust it as we go.
And John, compared to previous years, how tough do you think is the back-to-back schedule for the Bucks this year?
More back-to-backs this year than last season. Back-to-backs in themselves, I think, are tough, but it's not the toughest part of the schedule. You look at the schedule more in 1 week increments or 2 week increments. You look at the opponents that you play. Are the back-to-backs starting at home or ending at home, starting away or ending away? So there's a lot of different things beyond just back-to-backs and the number of them that you have. It's part of our schedule. It's the density of our schedule and how many games we fit into the schedule that we have. And so it's no different for us than it is any other team in the NBA. I think usually we're near the middle to the high end of back-to-backs. This year's the same. And so we'll manage that, and we'll approach it and address it, and we'll be as competitive as possible each and every game, whether it's a game before that or not.
We'll have more with Bucks GM John Horst in a moment. This is Courtside on WTMJ.
You're listening to the Bucks Season Preview Show on WTMJ and ESPN Wisconsin.
Those who don't have 20/20 vision usually do something about it. But many who can't breathe freely through their nose just live with it, not realizing they can have 20/20 breathing. At Advent, we're out to change that. With 20/20 breathing, you'll have fewer sinus infections, more energy, you'll sleep better, and you will live better. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. In 2006, Advent pioneered the balloon sinuplasty procedure. And since, thousands of our patients can tell you, this simple 20-minute in-office solution really works. Balloon sinuplasty can give you 20/20 breathing so you can breathe freely through both nostrils with your mouth closed day and night. And that can change your life.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
Hey, it's 620 WTMJ's Kristen Bry. I officially have a new dentist. I just had my first cleaning and checkup with Dr. James Michaels at Economawalk Dental Care, and I can't say enough about him and his awesome staff. Do you want your best smile for all those holiday family photos that are coming up? Have you not been to the dentist in a while? Do you have a fear of going to the dentist? Whatever reason you have for needing a new dentist, I am here to tell you to go see Dr. Michaels. He understands your apprehension about going to the dentist and will get you on the best care plan to get you confident about your smile. Whether you need a simple cleaning and exam, a teeth whitening, a more complex dental procedure, or even an implant for missing teeth, Economawalk Dental will always make you feel as comfortable as possible and give you and your family an amazing smile. Are you worried about cost? At Economawalk Dental Care, affordable quality dentistry is no longer a dream. It's the reality. Dr. Michael's fantastic staff can help you out with a no-interest payment plan. We all have to go to the dentist, so do not put it off any longer. Call and make an appointment today. You deserve to feel confident about your smile, so go see my new dentist, Dr. James Michaels at Economawalk Dental Care.
There's still more work to do. This is the Bucs season preview on WTMJ and ESPN Wisconsin. Here's more Courtside with Gale and Bucs general manager John Horst.
John, let's focus for a bit on the offseason moves that you made to retool and strengthen the roster. 3 free agent acquisitions. Let's start with what some general managers around the league called the steal of the season, signing guard Gary Trent Jr. Tell us what Gary brings to the Bucs and how you convinced him to pass up a lot more money to come to Milwaukee.
Well, I think, whether we're talking about Gary now or Torian or DeLon, hopefully shortly after, we expect these guys to have a big impact on our team. We are very excited about, we're very bullish on the impact of these additions, not only on the floor but off the floor. All targets of ours in the offseason, and really thrilled to have them. Gary specifically, we think gives us a starting 2-guard size. He's a big-time shot maker. He's a very willing shot taker, something, people have heard me speak about for years. I think that plays well in our system. It plays well with our team, with Dame and Giannis and Chris and Brooke and Bobby and Pat and kind of on the list. And so Gary's proven. He's proven that he can score in bunches. He's proven that he can make contested shots. He's a guy that brings a physical component to the way he defends, using that size and strength and toughness that he has. He's had seasons where he's been a very positive defender. He's had seasons where he hasn't been as impactful defensively. We believe that through our system and our coaching and his motivation to have a great year, we'll get a very positive impact defensively as well. And so, not much about Gale, about what I said or I did or Doc said or Doc did. At the end of the day, this is Gary. Gary Trent chose the Milwaukee Bucks. He chose the city of Milwaukee. He chose his teammates in Giannis and Dame and on down the group. And this is a Gary Trent decision to put himself in a position to win and to be part of a winner. And hopefully net the results and the benefits that come along with that as a young player. Love where he's at in his career. He's just entering his prime. I love where he's at from a motivation standpoint, and I just think he's going to be a great fit.
Terrific. And then, John, there's Taurean Prince. He was a favorite of Coach Darvin Ham on the roster of the Lakers last year. Taurean actually averaged 27 minutes a game this past season, and I suspect he'll play a big role in the early going for the Bucks at power forward. John, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Torian, started 60, 70 games for a good Lakers team, played the minutes that you spoke of. This is a proven veteran player who brings a defensive component and a size component. He's a very capable shot maker, very high IQ offensive player, really a connector. He knows how to set screens, knows how to make the right pass, make the swings, really plays within a system, knows how to play off of stars. He's done that throughout his career. So another super high character individual, high IQ individual. Love his size, love where he's at age-wise and where he's at in his career, right here in the middle of his prime right now, and was just an unbelievable get for us. And again, another player who chose the opportunity to win, chose the city of Milwaukee, chose this organization, was not short on opportunities. He had many other opportunities to work, to make more money, but he chose to take this job and this opportunity with us this year, and I'm very thankful for that. I think one of the things about Torian, I can even say this about Gary as well, and when we talk about DeLon, these guys are defensive playmakers. I think it's important to generate turnovers and to execute off of turnovers, get our team out in transition. It's one of our strengths. And all three of these players show up very favorably in those metrics, and that's another reason we targeted them.
And John, last but not least, DeLon Wright, a guard known, as you mentioned, for his determination on defense.
Yeah, DeLon's a big guard. He's got long wingspan. High IQ player, has played for a number of good teams, and just really is versatile. He's a true combo guard in our mind, and plays on the ball just as well as that. He plays off the ball, and that works. That works for us with guys like Giannis, who's going to handle a lot. Dame's going to handle a lot. Chris will handle a lot. And so you want versatile guards that can play with or without it, that will give themselves to the team. DeLon's another one that gives himself to the team, an incredibly high character individual, who will represent our organization in its fullest, and he's very excited to be here. He was an early commitment to us. He knew he wanted to play with us. He wanted this opportunity, and we're thankful for that as well.
And John, one last personnel question. Talk with us, if you will, about the center position and how you and Doc Rivers plan to back up Brook Lopez, who, as you know, had more block shots last year than any other player in the NBA.
Gail, some years we've went into the season with Brook and Giannis and Bobby as our bigs, and then a number of kind of versatile forwards around them for small ball lineups, something that we think we're really, really good at. There's been other years where we've had a fourth big, I guess you could call it, on the roster to back up both of those positions, maybe a more traditional big that could more traditionally fill backup five. This season, as you know, right now, we've got the three bigs. We've got a young two-way in Liam Robbins, who we're really excited about. Big 7-footer, defensive player of the year in his conference in college, and just a high IQ, highly competitive, physical presence that I think will give us an opportunity and help us there. We drafted Tyler Smith, a young big, who I think could earn some opportunities, and we have a lot of versatile forwards on the roster. And so right now it's by committee. No rosters are perfectly constructed in terms of balance and covering yourselves, because you get 15 spots and you get 3 two-ways, right? So it's not a limitless number of spots that you have. And so you do the best that you can to balance yourselves, give yourself as many opportunities. And then, if you need to adjust and make changes along the way, you hopefully are in a position where you can do that. So we love where we're at right now. I'll take our three kind of primary core bigs against anybody's in the league, and I love the way that we have versatility and depth behind them. And if it proves that we need to make some changes, we'll do that along the way.
We'll have more with John Horst right after this. It's Courtside on WTMJ.
This is the Bucks Season Preview Show on WTMJ and ESPN Wisconsin.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers, where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Steve and Ashley heard our radio ads over the years, and when it came time to buy their first home, they clicked on the blue button. We sent them a credit-verified pre-approval the same day and upgraded to a rock-solid, fully verified and guaranteed pre-approval shortly thereafter. We also let them know about AccuNet's property-specific pre-approval, where we might be able to include those magic words, no appraisal required. When they wrote their next offer, several $1,000s over asking to make sure someone else didn't end up sleeping in their dream home, their property-specific rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval did include that most powerful phrase, no appraisal required, and the sellers picked Steve and Ashley's offer over several others. If you think all mortgage lenders and pre-approvals are the same, think again. Go with the local mortgage lender that has the tools and know-how to help you win. We'll also likely save you $1,000 to $3,000 in closing costs for exactly the same rate as your bank. Whether you're looking to buy or refi, click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
You're listening to the Bucs Season Preview Show on WTMJ and ESPN Wisconsin. Now back to Courtside with Gale and Bucs General Manager John Horst.
John, as we get ready to open the new season, the Bucs seem, literally for the first time in years, to be under the radar. We won't be playing in the showcase games on Christmas Day, and many of the pundits point to Boston, Philly, and New York as teams to reckon with in the Eastern Conference. What's your perspective on how the Bucs stack up in what is clearly a conference with tons of talent?
Yeah, first of all, yes. Not only a conference with a ton of talent, a league with a ton of talent. There's a ton of parity in this league. Adam Silver, the NBA, the ownership groups within the NBA have done an incredible job creating a very competitive league. I think there are a number of teams that justifiably could sit here today before the season starts and say that they've positioned themselves to have a chance to do what we all do, win the last game of the season. And, you know, for us, whether people are speculating it or not, talking about it or not, we clearly believe that we're one of those teams as well. And very matter-of-factly, our only concern is to get better every day, focus on ourselves as the Milwaukee Bucks. We have our own belief in who we are. This is a group that's dedicated to working hard, that's getting better, staying connected, and really is truly together. And so we look forward to the challenge in front of us. And again, kind of matter-of-factly, not concerned with what people do or don't think, really just concerned with ourselves.
Well, that makes sense, John. That's all you can do. You take it one day at a time, and as you say, get better every single day. And John, let's switch gears for just a minute and walk down memory lane. You've achieved, obviously, great success as general manager of the Bucs. During your tenure, you've been named NBA Executive of the Year, and you've never shied away from a challenge. John, what would you say as you think back over the years? What is the most important thing you've learned about leadership during your years here in Milwaukee?
It's a great question, Gale. I think, first of all, leadership is not an island. It's not a singular thing. It takes a village, right? It takes a village to be a good leader. You have to have great support. You have to have great counsel. You have to have great self-reflection. I think I've learned things that I'm really good at, things that I need to delegate and have people help me with. I think I've learned that you can do as many things possible as you can right and for the right reasons, and maybe not get the intended result or the intended outcome or the hopeful outcome. And the most powerful thing is to not be stuck on that, but to be reflective on the why and how you approached it, and figure out how to do it again and do it differently and do it better. And so, we've talked a lot with our group this year to not be too reflective on the accomplishments and the successes in the past. Those are great. We'll have those forever. But today the challenge is to be better, to do something different and more than we did last year. And so we're constantly looking for ways and opportunities to do more and do better than our most recent, successes and failures. And I think that's what I would say. It's been humbling. It's been fun. I love the challenge of trying to rise again. And I'm excited for this year and the challenges and the pressure and the stresses and the opportunities that present themselves. And I love the people that I have an opportunity to do it with. And that goes to Peter Fagan. It goes to our ownership group, Jimmy Haslam and Wes Edens and Dee Haslam. Goes to Doc Rivers and our star players and Giannis and Dame and Chris and Brooke and the core support. This is a great collective group of individuals that hopefully each and every day we can do our best to operate in a champion type level. And if we have enough champions here in this organization, Gail, hopefully we can win a championship again.
And John, now you have at your side one of the most experienced coaches in the history of the NBA, Doc Rivers.
Yeah, Doc is a great partner, growing, great relationship. I learn from him each and every day, just his perspective on things, having, just such a wealth of knowledge of playing for so many years at an elite level, an all-star level player, coaching for so many years, at a Hall of Fame level, and just, all the things that he's seen, the relationships that he has, the different bits of knowledge he has. He's been a great resource to me as a professional and to our organization. And I think, having him now, start a season, go through a training camp, an off season, the early parts of the season, I think that everyone will see the impact of Doc's character and Doc's professionalism and Doc's expertise as a coach on this roster. And I look forward to going through that with him and having our fan base see what we can do.
And John, the final word. What one thing would you like Bucks fans to know as we start the 24-25 NBA season?
It's simple. I've put on my Peter Feigin hat. We have an incredible product, an incredible opportunity. This is a championship organization that's operated as such for almost a decade. We have 2 top 75 all-time players. We have one of the best supporting cores in the league. We have MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo, and just come out and support us. We've had the best fan base in the NBA, again, for almost a decade. Let's do it again. Keep filling Fiserv Forum. Keep being loud. The open scrimmage the other day was incredible just to see the energy in the building, the amount of people that came out for an event like that. Looking forward to seeing more of that as we open against the Chicago Bulls and every game after that. So we love our fans, and this is an incredible opportunity to be a Milwaukee Bucks fan in the state of Wisconsin. Don't miss the chance to be part of it. This is a special, special time in Bucks history.
I don't know, John. Peter might charge you for those thoughts.
He should pay me for those thoughts.
He really should. Oh, gosh. John, thank you so much for your time. Always a great pleasure to sit down with you and hear your insights. We very much appreciate it. Best of luck as we open the season. You've been listening to Courtside on WTMJ. So long, everybody.
There's still more work to do. This is the Bucks season preview on WTMJ and ESPN Wisconsin.
Any exterior remodeling company can give you a lot of good reasons to get a new roof, siding, windows and doors, or masonry work. Aesthetic appeal alone or just resale value help it all make sense. But I'm compelled to continue to tell you what sets Semper Fi apart from the rest. What you're going to get from Semper Fi is a reputation that is backed by an undeniable stack of proof that we are who we say we are. Our character is guided by a level of trust and accountability which not only holds our teams together, but also keeps our reputation intact. And ultimately, that means leaving you satisfied. So when you're about to make that big investment in your home, isn't that what you want? This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi!
In 1964, we were making strides towards space travel.
Mary Poppins was the #1 movie in theaters.
And the Beatles were taking America by storm.
Which was long before I was born.
Facts. 1964 is also the year it all started for Richland's Tire and Service Centers. 60 years of continuous growth and more happy customers than you can shake a stick at.
Okay, the streamers are a bit overkill. It's just us in the studio.
All right. But it's important to know, accomplishments like these aren't possible without a dedicated team. So hats off to them and our founder, my dad, Dick Mitchke, for understanding the importance of customer focus.
Facts. There's no 60 years of anything without you, the customer, which is why our focus will remain on you and only you for years to come.
Thank you from all of us here at Richland's Tire and Service Centers.
Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex.com.
When you need emergency service 24/7, any time of the day, any day of the year, call Quality Heating. With one of Wisconsin's largest HVAC fleets, you can count on us being there in a hurry. So don't worry. This is Anthony Zanevsky with Quality Heating. When you're in a heating or air conditioning jam, just see the man in the red van. And he's going to have a master plan to make sure you stay comfortable.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality heating, quality heating.
We will only sell products we believe in. And we believe in Armstrong Air Furnaces. With variable speed blower and multi-stage performance, Armstrong Air's most advanced furnaces deliver the highest number of features, the most comfort, and the greatest efficiency. This is Anthony Zanevsky with Quality Heating. To me, Armstrong Air is the professional's choice. So see the man in the red van, and we'll get you a furnace you can rely on for the long haul.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality heating, quality heating.
This is the Bucks Season Preview Show on WTMJ and ESPN Wisconsin.
All right, our thanks to Gail Kloppa for that conversation with Bucks General Manager John Horst, and we have our first final score of the season. On ring night in TD Garden in Boston, the Celtics dismantle the, depending on who you listen to, biggest threat to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference, the New York Knicks, 132-109. Now, one game does not a season make, but Celtics picking up where they left off, and Jason Tatum with an MVP-esque performance at 14 of 18 shooting with 37 points.
See them in a few days. About a week.
Yeah, week, 10 days.
Yeah, fourth game of the year. Good test for the Bucks early.
Yeah, it's, I think, day 2 of a back-to-back for the Celtics.
I'm going to pull up the schedule.
You only have 3 matchups with the Celtics this season, and I believe 2 of them are impacted by back-to-backs, one for the Bucks and one for the Celtics. And it's what, the first week of December that your Celtics games are done with?
Yeah.
So, look, especially if things start to linger and you don't see this team at full strength, it's not really going to be a great barometer. But there's going to be a lot of those litmus tests throughout the season with the way that the Eastern Conference has loaded up so far, on paper at least. We didn't see the results for the New York Knicks tonight. And now our final game of the day on this 2-game tip-off day is the Minnesota Timberwolves in Los Angeles to take on the Lakers. There's some interesting games on the schedule for the remainder of the week. Of course, the one that we have the most attention to spend on is the Bucks in Philadelphia tomorrow, taking on the 76ers. We mentioned the injuries for both of those teams and how that injury report is going to look. But there's more to take a look at in this matchup between the Bucks and the 76ers. We will start to preview the season opener when we return. It is the Bucks Season Preview Show on WTMJ and ESPN Milwaukee.
You're listening to the Bucks Season Preview Show on WTMJ and ESPN Wisconsin.
It's a bully that will not let up until you do something about it. And the worst part is that the bullying happens when you're at your most vulnerable. You might as well have your hands tied behind your back while that bully puts one hand over your mouth and pinches your nose with the other. He'll let up, let you catch your breath, and then he'll do it again. Sleep apnea is a bully. Not long ago, we heard our friend John tell you about how his bully was stopping his breathing in his sleep over 145 times an hour. Think about what that can do to your body's organs. It's no wonder that the snowball effects of long-term obstructive sleep apnea are heart disease, stroke, even depression and anxiety. But this problem is solvable, and we have solutions, and you'll be surprised at how simple they are.
To date, Advent has solved over 40,000 breathing triangle problems. It's time to put that bully in his place. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Results may vary.
You just can't pass on Less is Glass. Find us at lessglassservice.com.
Tony Drake here from Drake & Associates. Big news. Our Retirement Ready radio show is moving to a new time slot. Catch us at noon every Saturday. At Drake & Associates, we craft tailor-made plans that not only meet your financial needs, but align seamlessly with your unique lifestyle. Tune in at noon on Saturdays and get retirement ready.
Drake & Associates, LLC is an independent investment advisory firm that offers a variety of different investment vehicles. This commercial is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as individual investment advice. Drake & Associates, LLC does not provide legal or tax advice.
He told us to load 4 yards into his 8-foot bed. But we knew that 3 full, honestly measured yards were going to fill his truck bed to the rim. After we proved that, he told us the other guys have been telling him he's been getting 4 yards in there for years. Honest measurements and honest folks who just want to do you right. So you come back. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. We did the math. When you buy bagged mulch from the big guys, you pay $50 a yard. Why pay more for inferior mulch? When you buy from Erickson's, you'll get premium mulch for almost half the cost. And you'll see that even our economy mulch is better, for less than half the cost of bag mulch. And either choice is made with premium colorant that lasts longer. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
There's still more work to do. This is the Buck Season Preview on WTMJ and ESPN Wisconsin.
It's my 13th season. The fact that I'm still being able to be at the level that I've been at, for such a long time, like I'm not new to it. I've been getting 20 a game and in the postseason since 2013, so like I've been doing it a long time, so it's only right that some 23, 24, 25-year-olds come along and that's whose name you're going to see. I think that's normal, and for me the battle is like, how long can I just keep being it? How long can I keep doing it? And the way I feel physically, the way I feel mentally, I know that like at this point, they're gonna have to knock me out the way.
That is Damian Lillard, who has heard all of the slander throughout
I'm
the course
excited for him this year, man. I'm
of
excited.
the offseason. It started on the podium after Game 6 in that loss to the Indiana Pacers when Damian Lillard said, I think people are going to be surprised when they see me next year, and went into what we heard in much more detail, started to get into what we heard in much more detail at Media Day and throughout the course of the offseason, just the timeline of events for Damian Lillard. We mentioned it at the top of the show, too. Traded on, the 27th of September. It was a Wednesday or Thursday. It was going into the weekend. Arrives in Milwaukee that Saturday. He met his teammates at the training center facility on that Sunday. The day after that is Media Day, when he meets everyone in the local media and sees Milwaukee as a whole. The day after that, training camp begins. He's still living out of a hotel. His family is living in Portland. He's dealing with things off the court, going through a divorce. It was a lot. And when he detailed step by step what the season was like for him, you could see where that inconsistency may have come from. The games where he missed, not for injury purposes, when he was away from the team, whenever he came back from Portland after having spent time with his family, it was a different Damian
Different player.
Yeah. And, we heard a lot of talk, as I mentioned, through the offseason and Media Day about proving people wrong, and people are going to be surprised when they see me. And you start to get to the level of, okay, we've heard it. Now we got to see it. And you heard about the work he did with David Goggins and how he was sore for 3 weeks and stopped, I think wisely, short of saying he's in the best shape of his life, because whenever you do that, it's the kiss of death. But he's in terrific shape. And, granted, it's preseason games. But I think what you've seen so far from Damian Lillard in the preseason is starting to feel very comfortable and confident of, yep, I feel like this is going to be a much different version of Damian Lillard this season.
It's crazy at this point in his career, top 75 player of all time. Giannis, a top 75 player of all time. It's a little bit mind-boggling that those two, you could probably make the case for a few other players, but have the most to prove, it feels like, going into this season. Is that a little unfair? Or is that fair? I think it's fair. You look at around the league, the Boston Celtics just won the title. Miami was in the finals more recently than the Bucks. Phoenix, I guess, but KD's got a few rings. Golden State's done everything. New York is, but they're just scratching the surface a little bit with Brunson, and you make the trade for Cat.
The Warriors in that second phase too of, we let Clay walk, but Steph and Draymond are still here.
Yeah, but they don't have anything to prove though. I mean, that's a
some
dynasty.
of the young guys. We've heard about the two different eras and merging that.
I suppose. I guess you could. I mean, Dallas.
Two timelines for the Warriors.
Dallas is, with Luka, they're kind of under a little bit of, but they were just
just in the finals. So
I mean, it
wasn't a fluke is what they're facing. The Timberwolves too of, okay, can you take the next step similar to what we saw from the Bucks when they reached the conference finals in Bud's first year, and you felt like, man, this team is going to be competing for countless championships.
Because this is a legacy type moment in this year for Damian Lillard, in my opinion. Like, he's already stamped his legacy. Like pick him, he's a top 75 guy, one of the best shooters, one of the best clutch shooters. But a championship or a finals run moves the needle a little bit for him and some of the peers that he's running up against.
I don't view him as this as such here, but yeah, it changes on do you view Damian Lillard as like, yeah, I mean, it was a cool story. He was the guy that hit a lot of deep shots.
Right.
Great scorer, great individual offensive player, but his teams didn't win.
Right.
Like, that's what stuck with him. And
a run to the finals changes everything.
A deep run, yeah. It changes
everything.
It removes some of that sour taste around Giannis, too.
And Doc.
Well, that's the big one. But, I mean, Giannis, too, look, he's got the championship. And the fact that he played in the finals when we thought his knee exploded, and not only, well, we're not going to see him in the finals, like the grave concern was, so he's going to miss most, if not all, of next year, too, and that's immediately what your mind went to. So not only the fact that he played in those finals, but how he looked.
I cried that night.
How he looked, closing out the series in Game 6 with the 50-piece.
Greatest final performance ever.
You can't take that away. That changes everything around Giannis, because if the Bucks don't have a championship, you know what the narrative is. And especially with 2 straight first-round exits, the narrative of the run and dunk man is going to be even more present. So that championship, it changes everything.
And it's not only that, but the knock on Lillard for a while was he just hasn't had anybody to play with. He hasn't had any run with another star, and now you pair him with, in my opinion, one of the better stars, from a fit standpoint that you could, and hopefully it comes to fruition, and hopefully they both adapt well to the new style of play that they're both going to have to adjust to, playing with another star, full-time star. But now he has that with Giannis.
A couple of texts as we start to wrap here. We asked realistic expectations for this team. It's a spot I don't know that we've been in quite some time to not really know what to expect. The consensus is if this team is healthy, at least from what you guys have said, if this team is healthy, I expect an Eastern Conference Finals run at the very least with this group. I don't make predictions, but that's basically where I'm at too. If this team can stay healthy, I fully believe in them.
I'm with you.
Season starts tomorrow. The Bucks in Philadelphia to take on the 76ers. 6:30 tip-off. 6 o'clock is when our pregame coverage begins with myself and Dave Kane. And after the game, be sure to stick around for Bucks Talk with Brandon and myself. We will talk to you then.
Sometimes when you hear a radio ad like this one, you think, yeah, maybe I should look into this. But you never do. Hi, Andy Haver here, owner of Progress Manufacturing in West Bend. Like many of you, I've heard radio ads for QC Kinetics. So I finally went to check them out because I've had chronic bursitis in my elbow for many years. I got cortisone shots, but those quickly stopped working. My doctor told me that the only solution for my bursitis was surgery. After my initial free consultation, the medical professionals at QC Kinetics designed a treatment plan specific for me. I'm really happy I went because QC Kinetics helped me be pain-free with no drugs, surgery, or downtime, and their entire staff was friendly and made me feel comfortable. My only regret is that I didn't call them sooner. Lasting joint pain is just a phone call away. 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. With locations in Mequon and Greenfield.
Get your rock solid guaranteed pre-approval to buy at ACCUNET.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Keeping you informed, keeping you safe, keeping you engaged and entertained. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 9 o'clock, it's 62 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy and breezy. A chance for showers, a low of 51. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Jessica Gatso. The former CEO of American clothing brand Abercrombie & Fitch has been charged with sex trafficking. ABC's Aaron Katursky tells us what prosecutors allege.
Michael Jeffries allegedly used his wealth and power as CEO to fulfill his sexual desires by luring men to what prosecutors call sex events with the promise of modeling opportunities that did not exist. 15 men have come forward who said they were made to sign non-disclosure agreements, wear costumes, and then forced to perform explicit sex acts for money. But prosecutors say the men were never told the nature of the sexual activity that would be required. The indictment charged Jeffries, who is now 80, his romantic partner Matthew Smith, and a recruiter, James Jacobson, with what prosecutors called abhorrent behavior.
Jeffries was released on a $10 million bond. Decision Wisconsin. Heading to the polls for early voting means not forgetting some key paperwork. Executive Director for the Milwaukee Election Commission, Paulina Gutierrez, tells WTMJ what voters should bring.
You need to bring a valid form of photo ID. If you're coming to register to vote, you also need to bring a proof of residence.
You can find the full list of ID options for voting on our website at WTMJ.com. Early voting opportunities can be the reason someone is able to vote at all. Executive Director of Black Leaders Organizing for Communities, Angela Lang, tells WTMJ individuals with multiple jobs, children, or lack of transportation benefit greatly.
But I also think that we have a long way to go. There should be automatic voter registration when you turn 18.